But first, it was always going to come, this yes case claim that those voting no to the voice are either racist or stupid. It was implicit in the Prime Minister's initial claim that his voice proposal was no more than being polite and respectful to Aboriginal people, that voting no then would be seen as impolite or disrespectful, if not outright racist, even though the voice was always so much more than just the formal recognition of Aboriginal people in the Constitution that before this fight had near universal support. This was then and has always been about voice, treaty, truth, the activist agenda. And it's these activists like Marsha Langton that are finally being outed for what they really think about their fellow Australians. Racist or stupid, take your pick.
Every time the no case raises one of their arguments, if you start pulling it apart, you get down to base racism. I'm sorry to say it, but that's where it lands. Or just sheer stupidity.
Now, since those comments aired yesterday, Professor Langton has tried desperately to walk them back. That it was not the no voters she says she was referring to, but the arguments instead of the no campaign. That's what was racist and stupid.
I don't believe that most Australians are racist, and I'm certainly not a racist, but what I was saying was that the claims made by the no campaign are based in racism and stupidity, and that's a completely different kind of statement altogether.
That was this morning, but it's rot, especially after what my colleague Andrew Clennell unearthed and then put to air this afternoon.
The surge of racist nonsense is confined to a minority of Australians. Ordinary Australians are thinking, yes, of course I'm voting for the voice, and that would be, say 48, 49%. Then there's the hard no voters, and I'm hoping that they're about 20%, and they're the ones who are spewing the racism. Both Conservative leaders, the Liberal Party opposition leader Peter Dutton and the National Party leader David Littleproud, have committed their parties to advocating a hard no case for the question. Moreover, their arguments are specious and increasingly absurd, appealing to their racist base with claims that the proposal will racially divide the nation.
Langton can't plead this was a clumsy one-off now. She can't say this was about the no argument and not no voters after this evidence from Andrew Clennell. Now, she'll try, but she's been caught out on camera. These are her views about fellow Australians. She can't possibly now deny them or even defend them. Now, it's sad for our country that it's come to this, but it was always going to end up here, because how could you justify giving less than 4% of the Australian people an extra say over what happens to everyone, other than by saying that some are more equal than others? It's not the no case that's made this a them and us fight, because that was always the entire yes case, that you and the ancestors of the wider Australian people did the wrong thing to us, the descendants of the original inhabitants. So 200 years on, you've got to make it up to us. Make it up, pay the rent. But on the substance of Langton's claim, how can it be racist to vote no when it's actually the position of a fair proportion of Aboriginal people? When here's Warren Mundine on the program last night.
And they just look down their nose at you, and they just think that that ordinary Australians out there, people like you and me and other people, that we're some sort of cretins and we're just this horrible, horrible people, a bunch of racists, the country's racist, and that's what they think about us.
And sure, some of them, like Warren and Jacinta Price, well, they're against the voice because they're no less proud of being Australian than they are of being Aboriginal. Some too, like Senator Lydia Thorpe, well, they're against the voice because they think it doesn't go far enough to restore Aboriginal sovereignty. But if Aboriginal people are at least as divided as everyone else on this, it can hardly be racist to say no, and it's just moral bullying to pretend otherwise. To the extent that this debate has become ugly, it's really the PM's fault. He should never have put forward something as contentious as this on a subject as sensitive as this, just because a select group of Aboriginal elites demanded it. Just as the PM should have known his job was to lead the whole nation, not just his own Green Left tribe, he should have also realised that successful constitutional change has to belong to all of us, not just the Indigenous elites that met 6 years ago at Uluru. And Liberal Senator Karen Little, well, she nailed him on this today.
How do you feel about perhaps being called racist or stupid by Marsha Langton?
Well, I'm disappointed in how the Prime Minister has not just conducted this process to referendum, and we hear this kind of language: stupid, racist, and lying. I don't appreciate it as an Indigenous Australian. I've sat in those committees and listened to the evidence, and I listened to some evidence from Marcia Langton herself. And I say, it is completely unreasonable to be conducting a discussion about a change to our Constitution in this way.
And look, it's now beyond time that we hear from Anthony Albanese's own lips a very clear statement from our Prime Minister that it is not racist to vote no.